This is the theme to the podcast. It's inspired by an old TV theme, one of the best I'd ever seen. So here it is, the theme to the podcast. What does Chris think?
About his favorite movie. Now that's a tough question. One that I cannot answer easily. So you're going to get multiple episodes out of this one question. My initial knee-jerk answer to my favorite movie is an old Cary Grant movie. And whether you're a classic cinema buff or just someone who has appreciation for the human versus renovation disaster story, it's hard not to find a better starting point than Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House. The story feels incredibly grounded, even 80 years later. Cary Grant plays Jim Blandings, an advertising executive who is essentially the patron saint for every person who's ever thought, we just need a little bit more space. He's smart but not arrogant, and you watch him descend into a special kind of madness as he trades a cramped New York apartment for a fixer-upper in Connecticut that turns out to be a money pit of historic proportions. The film works because it balances the absurdity of construction with the very real and very warm heart of a family trying to find their place. Jim Blandings isn't a fool and starts to notice patterns, whether it's the architect's fees or the local contractors who seem to be speaking a language only they understand. Jim's frustration is palpable and, to be fair, kind of hilarious. My favorite bit in the film involves the small talk of construction. Every time Jim asks a simple question about a door or a window, the price goes up like another $1,000. It's dark, understated humor that anyone who's ever hired a plumber will recognize instantly. Now, we know Hollywood loves a sure thing and hates to try hard, and the Blandings blueprint has been used more times than I can count. A few notable examples: The Money Pit in 1986. This is the loudest descendant. Tom Hanks brings a frenetic energy that's a bit more passionate fanaticism than Grant's calm exterior, but the DNA is identical. It leads harder into the physical comedy. The bathtub falling through the floor is classic, but it misses some of the sophisticated wit of the original. And we also have Are We Done Yet in 2007, a sequel to Are We There Yet? This version swaps out the mid-century ad man for Ice Cube. It's more of a family reunion type vibe, focusing on the chaos of kids and a crazy contractor. It's lighter, but it still captures that feeling of a world anew, and the horror you realize that the dream you've bought is actually a nightmare. Here's the thing. We love these movies because they project the truth about our own ambitions. We dream of a perfect house or a perfect life, only to find out that the world we've built is held together by spit and a prayer. In the original, Jim's friend offers a bit of practical wisdom that feels like a strong ending to any renovation saga. You've been licked, but you've got a house. It's honest without cruelty. It acknowledges the flaws without being miserable. If you haven't seen it, rummage through the used bins or just find a streaming link and give it a watch. Now, after all this talk about building and breaking things, have you ever started a project that made you feel like you were losing your mind? From an old classic most of you have never heard of, to a movie that changed cinema in an irrevocable way. Look, I'm not saying I have an addictive personality, but I saw The Matrix 9 times during its opening week in 1999. It wasn't just a movie for me. It was a total recalibration of what cinema could actually do. At the time, we were all coasting along on standard issue action tropes. And then the Wachowskis showed up, and they basically rewrote the software for an entire genre. It set a standard for action movies that held firm for the next 20 years. And honestly, half the stuff coming out now is still just trying to catch up to the original high. The narrative layering. It starts as a techno thriller and pivots to a superhero origin story, and then ends as a philosophical treatise on choice. It treats the audience like they're capable of following a complex thought without having their hand held, which is rare, especially from Hollywood. It's active versus passive characters. You have Neo, moves from a deer in the headlights state to someone who realizes he has the ability to more directly react to the world around him. It's a classic character arc, but it is executed with such confidence that it feels brand new every time you watch it. From the long coats and the green-tinted cinematography, the movie establishes a visual language that everyone spent the next decade shamelessly copying. It had a vibe that sticks with you long after the credits roll. We all talk about bullet time. The real genius was the choreography. It wasn't just guys hitting each other. It was a developed thought in motion. Now, to be fair, the sequels got a little bogged down in their own mythology and relying on action just a little too much. The spectacle of the choreography, they lost the complex narrative that made the first film a near perfect film. It's intelligent, grounded, and deeply perceptive about our relationship with technology. If you want to see the DNA of the Matrix in the wild, you don't have to look very far. It didn't just inspire sequels, it fathered an entire generation of films that are basically the children of the Matrix. John Wick in 2014 is probably the most honest successor. The director, Chad Stahelski, was actually Keanu's stunt double in The Matrix, and he's been vocal about how those films were essentially a decade-long film school for him. When John Wick says he needs guns, lots of guns, it's more than just a nod. It's a tribute to the foundation that they built together. In 2002, we got Equilibrium. If Fahrenheit 451 took the red pill, Equilibrium is the intense younger sibling who spent the summer practicing gun kata in the backyard. It's a sci-fi dystopian mix that tried to push that stylized, choreographed combat even further into the extreme. In 2010, we got Inception. Now, it didn't copy the leather coats, but it absolutely inherited the mind-bending reality mantle. Christopher Nolan took that core idea, the world you see isn't the real one, and turned it into a sophisticated heist movie that reflects the same intellectual curiosity the Wachowskis brought to the table. The movie isn't just about special effects. It's about the heart of the journey. The Matrix didn't just give us a cool movie. It gave us a mirror. Did you see the red pill the first time around, or did you still enjoy the stake in the simulation? I'm Chris, and this is what I thought.